Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, well, but I'm not hearing anybody else.
That's because nobody else is talking.
There we go. Yeah. Finally, we're here.
Yes, you are.
God. Did I ever tell you how much I love technology?
Yes, you have. I think we're all set, Colby.
Perfect. So, Jen's on. All right, Southern, if you are on for Mr. Cruz, we could start early. Board members, we are having a shift in scheduled times today because Attorney Siebert needs time to travel from the PMP office to the facility. So we're just shifting a couple to fill in a gap, but that's it. Morning, Jed.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Cruz.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. Let me get the record started for today and then we can begin your hearing.
Thank you so much.
Good morning. This is the State of Vermont Parole Board, and we will be conducting hearings that were scheduled for Tuesday, September 24th, 2024. Please be advised that we will be recording the entire time the board is in session today, and there have been no changes to the final schedule that was released. Board members, like I said, we're going to start with Mr. Cruz.
Okay.
Today's date is September 24th, 2024, and we are doing a Southern State Correctional Facility hearing via Microsoft Teams. This is a parole hearing for Orlando Cruz. Present today are parole board members Dean George, Wayne Dangler, and Samantha Drake, the offender Orlando Cruz, caseworker Jed Harrison, and Colby Lino for the parole board office. Announcing this hearing, over to the chair.
Thank you. Good morning, Orlando. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir. Good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Thank you.
Have you had a chance to review the report written for the hearing this morning?
Yes, I did.
Okay. We're going to begin by getting an update on your case from Jen, and then we'll have some questions after that and make a decision for today at the end of the hearing.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Morning, Jen.
Good morning. I've been working with Mr. Cruz since he arrived at Southern in June. I got him approved. We worked very closely together to get him approved for ICOTS in Pennsylvania. He has support there. His uncle, he's got a job lined up at a local union construction company, and I've verified his employment and that he'll have a job when he gets there. He's been a model inmate here, no DRs, no issues at all. He's done anger management groups. He did a lot of programming in Connecticut prior to coming here. Since his last parole board hearing, he started working in the kitchen. So he's not just been sitting here idling. He's been very busy and focused on what he needs to do to get to Pennsylvania.
Thank you. And I know it wasn't that long ago when we saw him.
I think it was July.
Yeah, a couple months ago. Okay. Thank you. So Orlando, it sounds like everything seems to be ready for you to go to Pennsylvania.
Yes, sir.
The only other question I had, and I can't recall if we discussed it at all, have you had any contact with your victim, Mr. O'Neill, at all?
No, I have not, sir. I've never met him before that. It's not something that it's something that haunts me every day. And it's something I want to move forward past because I don't want my character to be seen as, as a version of my mistake. And, I've lived my life on positivity and I've been moving forward with positivity. And I know that now that every choice you make has repercussions. So I try to make the best choice every day moving forward.
Thank you. other questions from the board? Samantha?
So Orlando, can you tell me some about the programming that you've done and what you've learned from it?
Yeah, definitely. So I've done many programs, outside programs, through UConn, PEP, it's People Empowering People. I learned, from that, I learned mostly how actions and how our actions can affect others on a tremendous level. It's not just yourself with your decisions, it's everybody around you and how everything trickles down. The other major program that I did was called Second Chance, Second Chance. And it was a living unit and it was a program unit where we did massive programming, outside work, and just really learning to live with others and dealing with different stressors and having to move forward and really putting my life to something, living positively. As I said, I base my life on positivity. As Mr. Harrison said, that, I wasn't just sitting here. I took a job in the kitchen. I try to move forward. I try to do positive things in my life where it leads me to positive places.
Okay, thank you. And then my second question is, do you struggle with substances? Was that an issue for you in the past?
No,
Okay.
not really.
Okay.
Not at all, actually, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Orlando, I know she wasn't at the hearing before, but I know we had talked about your substance use issues in Connecticut years ago, I believe.
I didn't really have substance abuse issues. It was more of like I was around the wrong people, definitely, but I wasn't really using.
Okay,
Okay. All right. I'm all set with questions. Thank you.
thank you. Wayne?
I'm probably going to mispronounce the last name, but what is the Judy Dorn project?
So Darwin. Judy Darwin is actually, she's an amazing woman. She's an activist, so she's in the prisons a lot. So they show like life and culture through movement. So it's like it was like a dance project. It was very hands-on. You do it was mainly for your kids. And you would do a video and you did like this whole dance movement piece, and we were on video with our families and stuff like that. And it connected us with our family and integrated us with other people's families and children.
Thank you.
Sir.
In your responses, maybe you can explain a sentence to me. I'm not quite sure if I'm understanding. So today I present myself to you as a changed individual. I've made the most of my incarceration and advantage numerous opportunities both presented to me and personally sought out to achieve the rehabilitation that I deserve. Could you explain how you deserved that to me?
Well, so the reason why I said that was because I reached out. I had a really dark moment in my life, and when my mom passed away, and it really changed the structure in my life. But prior to that, I coached Little League. I was very involved in the community, and again, like I don't want this to be who I am. I don't want this. I was incarcerated. I don't want this to be the person that I am. So I really worked hard on changing that process, that mindset that I had, and being very dark and stuck in a bottle. And I really worked and I really fought to be this positive person and change my mentality back to who I was when I was in college and when I played ball and when I did all these positive things in my life. So, the part where I said deserve, it was more for myself than anything, because I deserve it for myself to get back to who I was. So that's what I meant by that.
Okay. I think I get it. And those White Plains area that you grew up in,
Yes, sir.
Erie, Pennsylvania is like a long way away across the state of New York. Where's the connection?
That most of my family's out there. I'm trying to reconnect with my family. It's definitely a positive thing. And the only reason why it's eerie is because most of my family left New York during this process, during this time. And most of my family is from New York, and they moved out to Erie, so that's where I want to be, is with my family. So it has to be Erie, because that's where they are.
Dreary, Erie. Spent some time there in another life. Is that where your dad is?
My uncle, my cousins, my aunts. My dad is currently in White Plains, but my dad lives with his I would say my stepmom. But yeah, that's everybody else is in Erie. So
Okay. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. If there are no other questions, what is the pleasure of the board for Mr. Cruz?
I'll make a motion that we grant parole to Orlando Cruz today.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded to grant parole to Orlando Cruz to the plan presented to us, which includes transfer of supervision to Pennsylvania, where he has been accepted. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, it is unanimous. So Orlando, I'm going to just quickly review the conditions that we will be submitting to Pennsylvania. Obviously, the state of Pennsylvania can impose conditions that they feel are appropriate for your supervision as well. And so one of our conditions is that you must abide by the conditions set by the state of Pennsylvania.
okay.
In addition to that, our standard conditions will be presented to them as well, along with a recommendation that you participate in any programming, screening, or counseling that is recommended by your parole officer there, allowing the provider to disclose your attending and participating. Obviously, you cannot purchase, possess, or consume illegal drugs or regulated drugs without a prescription, and you must submit to a drug test. The opportunity to put you on a curfew if there is cause, and use electronic monitoring if there is cause, will be there as well, along with the fact that you cannot have any contact with your victim, Mr. O'Neill, and our language would be included in that, which specifically states that you cannot contact him through any means, letters, phones, tapes, whatever, without getting permission from your parole officer, which I don't think is going to be an issue.
No, not at
Any
all.
questions? Okay.
No.
Any questions about any of those?
No, sir.
All right. I think you're all set.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jed.
To ask him of my father.
Thank
Or
you.
just do that later.
Jed, I will have paperwork to you in just a little bit.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Up next is Mr. Libby. Newport, are you there? We are a little early, but not that early.
They've been sucked into my black hole.
There you go.
Will you quit sucking everybody in there? You took Sam earlier and now you're taking Newport. Stop it.
Oh, love it.
See if I can get Newport on here.
Good morning. I just received Kobe's email. John is not here yet.
Is Attorney Siebert there yet?
She is. How would you like to proceed?
Board members, how would you like to proceed? We can do a couple facility hearings because I asked them to be on early while we wait
Yeah,
for
they're ready.
Mr.
Let's
Libby?
do that, and as soon as John gets there, we'll move back to him.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks, Liz. Right. John Hardy, are you on?
I am. Be just a minute.
Perfect, thank you.
Jess Taylor.
All right, we're gonna go with Jess Taylor, board members.
Taylor, okay.
Taylor, yes. Thank you, John, for being flexible with timing today.
Well, not a problem. Just be flexible with me. I haven't called anybody up yet. I just called them up. So
Okay, thank
where
you.
were you looking at Kyle Lowe as far as being seen?
We are not sure at this point, as the attorney is at the PMP office and that PV hasn't shown up yet.
Okay.
So we might be able to do more than the two that I messaged about this morning.
Okay. I have Mr. Taylor here.
Perfect.
All right.
Good morning, Mr. Taylor.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. We will start your hearing in just a moment. Board members, when you're ready, I will get us going.
Just give me a minute. I'll set it, Colby.
I'm going to tell you called me that.
Yeah, I know.
Good morning. Today's date is September 24th, 2024, and we are doing a Northern State Correctional Facility hearing via Microsoft Teams. This is an in-person record review for Jess Taylor. Present today are parole board members Dean George, Wayne Dangler, and Samantha Drake. The offender, Jess Taylor, caseworker John Hardy, and Colby Lino for the parole board office. And I'll turn this hearing over to the chair.
Morning, Mr. Taylor. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. Thank you. Good morning.
Have you reviewed the parole report written for the hearing this morning?
Parole summary.
Yes.
Yes, I have.
Okay. So we're going to begin by getting an update on what's going on with your case and what's being planned for you by corrections. We'll have some questions after that and then make a decision for today at the end of the hearing.
Okay, understood.
Thank you. Good morning, John.
Good morning, sir. So this is Mr. Jess Taylor. He is currently 3 years past his min date. He has completed VTIPSA 3 years ago. We are here looking for parole. We have given him, the department has given him a positive recommendation. But we've been waiting 3 years for a residence. So I'm kind of perplexed as to where to go from here. We just don't have any residences in the state.
So in the report, it looks like, obviously the offenses were from Addison County, but he's looking to locate in the St. Albans, Franklin County area. Is that correct still?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so, Jess, what have you done in terms of trying to find an approved residence in Franklin County?
I reached out to a couple of places, having not heard back anything as of yet.
Okay.
And one was, as my caseworker stated, not receptive because it's not something I'm approved for.
He's been on the Pathways waiting list for 3 years, sir.
Okay.
My bad.
Are there other residences that you'd like to approach, or has that been the case?
We're looking at other alternatives, but nothing solid, just speculative at this point.
Do you have
Sir.
some support in the community that are trying to help you find an approvable residence?
I really don't have a lot of resources at this time.
Okay.
My wife is from another country,
Okay. And where is she?
Belgium, Europe.
I'm sorry?
In Europe.
Okay, so
From
she's
Belgium.
not around here then.
No, she comes over, visits, we spend time, but it's a little taxing, yes.
Okay. Have you been approved by Pathways and you're just waiting for a bed? Is that the idea?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Part of what we've run into is, in order to look in another part of the state, we have to come off from the Pathways list in Franklin County. So if we want to go to Brattleboro or Bennington or any place else, we have to come off from the list.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's kind of counterproductive if you're on the list
Mm-hmm.
to look someplace else, because you now.
Then you give up your spot. Yeah. Can they give you any indication, or have they, as to the length that you may be waiting at this point?
At this point, no, sir.
No.
It very well could be another 3 years, sir.
Okay. Are there any other hangups other than the fact that he is just on a list with many others for the same limited space?
No,
Okay. Does it generally go that those with the longest time on the waiting list get selected first?
no, sir. So how Pathways works is, it's kind of like, and if anybody's on that can correct me, please do. I believe that when Pathways has a landlord that's willing to rent to the program, they are given a list of inmates that want to go to that program.
Okay.
From there, I believe the landlords get to pick and choose and ask questions, charges, stuff like that. So being told that you're on the list Pathways doesn't necessarily go by a
Okay.
list like you would think, 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
4. It's kind of a pick and choose list.
Sure.
And he's been on that list for approximately 3 years.
Okay. Well, I guess my follow-up to that, John, is it doesn't sound like there's much risk in trying to go somewhere else.
No, it doesn't. The problem is that when you start talking to other caseworkers, talking to
Mhm.
the others, they're running into the same problems we're having in Franklin County.
Sure.
Part of the reason that he has chosen to go to Franklin County was to be as far away from Addison County
Sure.
as you can, wanting no contact with the victim, no,
Yeah. No, I get that.
inconsequential.
Right. That's
know,
certainly
just-
understandable. It's just that if we're going to come up with a residence, Jess, we got to have something to consider. And so,
Yeah, we should say something.
Then this is
Yeah.
your chance, man. This is.
yeah,
I know. I'm just worried about if we don't say something, I'm 3 years again.
Well, and there again, this is your hearing.
in any event, Jess, the residence issue is important. And obviously, the sooner you get a residence in the community, the sooner you can be out there and you can participate in the community-based programming, which is important. If it's not going to happen in Franklin County, then it might be worth exploring other options.
Excuse me. On
Yeah.
that note, I am researching a private residence. But this is just in the research process. There's nothing solid.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't made any definite moves.
Okay. All right.
We do have something we're looking at, but just nothing
Okay.
decided on.
Thank you. Are there other questions on the board, Wayne?
Well, I don't know if it's a question or
Comment?
curiosity, but reading your responses to our questions, I mean, you have a significant amount of work experience and history in the dairy industry.
I do.
Northwestern Vermont is one of the biggest dairy areas of the state of Vermont. I gotta believe that if you were somehow to reach out, a lot of those farms, as you probably well know, provide housing along with their employees. I don't know if you go through the St. Albans Co-op or there. I would think with the lack of employees and work shortages, with a man with your experience in the dairy industry, if that's what you want to do, wouldn't be very hard to come up with a job that provides housing. Just a thought.
Appreciate it. I've been in the dairy industry for years. It's a very physically taxing occupation. I'm not really sure that's something I necessarily want to go back to. I do know it very well, but I also have other interests. I'm open to other interests.
Okay.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sam, any questions or comments?
I don't have any, thank you.
If there's nothing else that you would like to ask of us or check with us about, at this point, I guess it's just a matter of trying to come up with a residence, and sounds like everybody's ready to move when that happens.
Excuse me, board members, but Mr. Taylor's PO did hop on late in case you needed to ask him any questions. He is now on.
Okay.
Ryan, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
I think I heard, yes, I'm here.
You guys have any questions or comments?
And I didn't know if you had anything to add to the hearing this morning.
Pretty much from what I can gather, Mr. Taylor has brief history, community supervision years ago. Seems like it completed it compliantly, no issues there. And everything that I've looked into states that he's a hard worker. In case notes at Northwest stated that he's a dependable, reliable worker. And kind of what you guys talked about, significant history in the dairy farm. Yeah.
Okay.
My only concerns would be alcohol and drug and employment stability, residence stability. And that's pretty much the gist of it.
So I think it's fair to say at this point, Jess, if you can come up with a residence to propose to us that, we'd like to be able to move forward. But it doesn't sound like we have anything at this point. So continue to work towards that end to the extent you can. And if you come up with something between you and your caseworker or in the field, Ryan, that would be helpful.
Yes, sir.
There are no other questions. What is the pleasure of the board for today, please?
Make a motion, we not grant parole today.
I'll second.
Motion's made and seconded not granting parole at this time to Jess Taylor. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. It is unanimous.
Can't do this.
Very good. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
It'll be just a minute while I get the next one. If you
Nope, John,
wanna go-
take your time. The PB showed up at the P&P, so we're gonna switch back to that. Take your time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, board members, Mr. Libby is ready. Good morning, Don. You're muted. We can't hear you.
Morning. I said good morning. How are you?
Good. I read your lips. I saw you say good morning.
It's all that nonverbal communication.
Yes. Mr. Libby, we'll begin your hearing in just a moment.
Yep.
We're pulling up some paperwork.
My daughter wants me to spend a couple weeks with her too.
Okay, and while we're doing that, we've had quite a few people join. Dawn, did you have anybody joining for this hearing today?
Not for Mr. Libby, no, but I had some witnesses for Mr. Lowe who may have already hopped on.
Okay,
Since we're running a little bit late.
not a problem. Are any of them for evidentiary or are they all disposition?
For Mr. Lowe,
Yes.
some of them are for evidentiary, for the evidentiary phase, yes, but.
Okay.
I'm all set, Colby.
You're all set? All right.
Yeah.
Well, then we'll get ready. Good morning, Bob. I saw you hop on. All right. Good morning. Today's date is September 24th, 2024, and we are doing a Newport probation and parole hearing via Microsoft Teams. This is a parole violation hearing for John Libby. Present today are parole board members Dean George, Wayne Dangler, and Samantha Drake. The parolee, John Libby, PO Elizabeth Barra, Prisoner's Rights Attorney Don Siebert, DOC Attorney Robert Menzel, and Colby Lino for the parole board office. And I'll turn this hearing over to the chair.
Thank you. Good morning, John. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, good morning.
John, would you mind taking your hat off for the hearing, please? Thank you. In the first part of this hearing, John, we're going to consider the two conditions of your parole agreement that you've been charged with violating. So I'm going to begin by, Don, did you have a question?
Could I interrupt? This is a disposition only. We
I'm
did
sorry, I
the
didn't know
violation phase last month.
Okay. Let me just get caught up then here.
Sure. Mr. Libby made admissions to the 2 violations.
Sure. Yeah, I'm just trying to bring up the hearing info from last time. Just give me a second. Okay. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Okay.
So John, this is disposition part of your violation hearing. So we're going to begin by getting an update on what's being recommended by the Department of Corrections, and we will proceed from there. So Liz, we'll start with you.
Yes, so we're still requesting revocation. At this point, Mr. Libby has reported that he did not make any progress from our last hearing as far as settling those charges. He did have some medical concerns going on, which he reports got in the way of settling those. He also since admitted that he's been using crack cocaine. We spoke about inpatient treatment. He reports that he did call and is waiting for a bed. I don't have anything verifying that at this point. He provided a new address, which our field staff went out to last night. His daughter, who lives at that residence, stated that he does not live there. He then called our FSU officers and stated that he only enters through the basement, so nobody knows that he's living there. He reports that he's also been bedridden due to these medical issues, but states that he doesn't spend his days at the residence he's reporting. I just have concerns in regards to multiple different stories, his increased substance use. He has had contact with law enforcement since our last encounter for a vehicle accident, which I believe happened around midnight. He reported that an individual was driving the vehicle. No witnesses, nor did law enforcement see somebody else driving the vehicle, nor did they see Mr. Libby driving the vehicle. There was not enough to charge him with suspicion of DUI. He was also cited with, was it petty larceny or larceny, retail theft for Walmart. He was cited for sometime in October. At this time, I'm not sure where that stands, as I was still waiting to hear from the sheriff's department as far as an affidavit and what that looks like as far as that charge. So at this point, we're still requesting revocation.
Thank you, Liz. Dawn?
And we're asking the board to continue Mr. Libby on parole. And I think it would make sense at this point to require Mr. Libby to get into inpatient rehab immediately, and he's very willing to do so. He has called Valley Vista and he's waiting for a bed, and I'm happy to follow up with Valley Vista so that could be all documented. You know, I think his current instability, as Liz described, is related to his relapse, and so he's going to talk to the board about the car accident and his ongoing excuse me, medical issues. I would just point out that he's been in the community since 2019, so he's been out for a very long time, and he had been doing well, and he certainly needs to address this relapse, and he's willing to do that as part of the disposition of this violation. He's also willing to address the issues in New Hampshire, and it's not that we've made no progress on that in the last month. we have made some progress, but the current misdemeanor, it would be fairly easy for him to go to New Hampshire and resolve the current misdemeanor. What's tricky is that he has an old warrant for non-appearance from 1999 on a misdemeanor assault charge. And so that's been trickier for me to sort of figure out how he can address that. It's a $1,200 bench warrant for non-appearance from 15 years ago. And I'm trying to make a plan for him to go to New Hampshire and to resolve both at once, the false information and this old warrant. But he doesn't have an attorney in New Hampshire on either case. So it makes it a little complicated, and it's been slow going figuring it out. But we have made some progress. Now at least I'm clear on exactly what the legal barriers are in New Hampshire and what he needs to do. There's motions he can file pro se, but we just haven't filed them yet. But I think the most pressing issue before the board is the relapse. And Mr. Libby is certainly willing to address that. And, you know, Liz and I talked ahead of time, if he is revoked, he'll at a minimum spend a year in jail. And that's, you know, assuming central office doesn't make a different decision. And it's also tricky to know what will happen if he's revoked because of the New Hampshire outstanding issues. Those could really jam him up inside. And so we're asking the board to continue him on parole, order him to get into rehab immediately. And he's happy to talk to you guys about what's been going on within the last month, the accident and his health issues, and you know what he wants to do to remedy the relapse.
So in the last month, I've been diagnosed with blood clots in my lungs. They're trying to figure out what's causing it. I also have ammonia. The car accident made it twice as bad because it bruised my sternum and my ribs. So my breathing's kind of hard. But the relapses, yeah. Like I told Liz, I really fell off everything, and I want to get back to where I was 4 years ago. Well, not even 4 years ago. When I came out in 2019, within a year, I had my own business, painting houses and interior and exterior, and I want to get back to that. I do want to go to rehab to get my life back online for not just myself, my kids. And I just want to straighten everything out. I just told Liz that I was thinking about, there's a place in Morrisville that is a house, and she was telling me it's a religious place that helps people. I didn't know that. I heard it was something else, but either way, I do want to get back on track. And if I was able to stay on parole, I would have no problem with stricter conditions. That wouldn't bother me a bit. And once I can figure out these blood clot things and whatnot, I have no problem going to New Hampshire and getting this stuff straightened out and put behind me.
Liz, any comments on any of that?
I don't believe so. I just concerned about his instability, and just want it to be noted that prior to him having these medical issues, he had the opportunity to go to New Hampshire to take care of the pending charges. And if he is continued on parole, there are additional conditions that I would request.
Okay. Any points of clarification from the board? Wayne?
No.
Samantha?
Nope.
If there's nothing else, what is the pleasure of the board, please?
So I'd
I'll
move
make-
for a deliberative session.
I'll second.
Motion's made and seconded for the board to enter a deliberative session. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We shall return shortly. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
The board is on their way back. We are back on the record for John Libby.
Okay, thank you. So it is a unanimous decision of the board that we are going to revoke John Libby's parole at this time, based on the information provided at this hearing by his parole officer in the Department of Corrections. We feel it's important and necessary to reset his supervision and begin to look for another release process coming down the road. Hopefully, you can get these other issues resolved. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, back to Northern. John, are you still with us?
Yep, we're ready, Mr. Demick.
Perfect.
Yes.
Good morning, Mr. Demick.
Morning.
It'll just be one moment while we pull up some paperwork before we start your hearing.
All set, Colby.
Good morning. Today's date is September 24th, 2024, and we are doing a Northern State Correctional Facility hearing via Microsoft Teams. This is an in-person record review for Shane Demick. Present today are parole board members Dean George, Wayne Dangler, and Samantha Drake. The offender, Shane Demick, caseworker John Hardy, and Colby Lino for the parole board office. I'll now turn this hearing over to the chair.
Thank you. Good morning, Shane. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Have you reviewed the parole report written for the hearing this morning?
Yeah.
We're going to begin by asking your caseworker to provide the board with the information about your case and what's being planned for you. We'll have a few questions after that and then make a decision for today at the end of the hearing.
All right.
Morning, John.
Good morning. So this is Mr. Shane Demick. At this time, the department is not recommending, as he is here. No, recommending or not recommending?
No, recommending.
Because of, yeah, that's what I thought. I'm sorry. So the department is not recommending, as he's here on an interrupt. But he is due to max out in March of next year. So
that would be
that's basically where we're at.
Okay. And John, I believe there was a case staffing. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Case? Okay.
It should be attached.
It is. I believe it's in the report somewhere. Haven't found it. Have there been any programming that Shane has been involved in?
He was at the work camp. I don't know if there was any programming at the work camp, but I know that he was at the work camp.
Shane, have you done any programming while you've been incarcerated?
No, just the MAT program.
Are you still on the MAT program?
Yep.
Okay. How long have you been on that?
About 5 or 6 years.
Okay. Suboxone or methadone?
Suboxone.
Okay, is that working well for you?
Yes, it is. I just got a, increase on it.
So what is your plan going forward?
I would like to get out before my max out, to V4 housing, if possible. Possibly do some RRP programming until I max out. Involved in higher ability and, Department of Labor for further my education, find a job.
Okay, so you've got,
I'm just trying to get to my feet underneath me before I max out to nothing.
okay. Have you put together a release type plan where you would live?
I wrote a letter to you guys of what my plan looked like.
Okay,
I had one sent to you guys.
yeah, it should be in there. And you owe 12,000 in restitution. Do you know what that's for?
I do. It's, check fraud.
Okay. Were you on furlough when you were interrupted?
Yes.
Okay. And how long were you on furlough?
Off and on since 2000.
Multiple times then?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Other questions from the board? Wayne?
Reading some of your replies, it says you've attended RRP and in the past.
Yes, I successfully completed it in I think 2015.
So you have done some programming.
Yes, in the past I have.
All right.
I thought you were asking about since I've been in this time.
I'm just looking really quick here and I'm not finding. When does your interrupt end?
It's actually it was a 4-year interrupt. I didn't have 4 years left to max out, so they wanted me to max my interrupt.
Okay. Yeah. Yep. Looks like you don't play well with others while you're in the facility. That's quite a DR list. What's up with that?
It's not it's not the matter of not playing well with others. I get myself caught up in things I shouldn't get caught up in. I don't know how to explain it. If I'm not busy, I tend to get myself in trouble. I always try to find a job. I always try to keep myself going every day so that I don't get caught up in the stuff that goes on in the facility.
So maybe you need, as you say, some more programming, anger management, and maybe a RRP review would be good.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. Angel Coral, do you have anything to add? Just saw you on there.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I would just add, as the reentry PO, I haven't met with Shane in a bit of time. He doesn't actually fall into the reentry transition planning period until December, which would be 6 months before his max date. He does have a lengthy history of noncompliance with supervision, resource supports to include substance misuse treatment, mental health treatment, electronic monitoring, curfew, transitional housing have all been exhausted while he's in the community. He historically refuses to stay connected to those resources or compliant with them, and he ends up with new charges and more community victims are created. That being said, he is eligible to apply for, actually, I'm sorry, he's not because he's maxing out. So, yeah, he was case staff to max out his sentence in February of 23.
So will he be evaluated in December for a 6-month prior to maxing out release possibility?
Yeah, so come December, should he not be granted parole today, come December, I'll start meeting with him on a monthly basis to come up with a solid release plan for him. Even though he will not be on supervision with DOC any longer, I would meet with him still if he's willing to and come up with a supportive plan for when he is released to the community. It would not include transitional housing though, because he would not be eligible.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you. Sam, any questions?
So Shane, with your long history of non-compliance in the community, how is this time going to be different?
Age, I see things in a different light. I don't know how to explain that. I'm tired of being here. Tired of being in this situation. I have a 94-year-old grandmother that's about to pass away. And the one thing that she wanted from me is to be successful. And that's all I ever wanted. And then I got caught up in drugs. And it's been a struggle since.
So my second question to go with that is, if you can't behave in the facility and you're getting DRs, how are you going to behave and not get caught up in the community? Because you keep saying that you get caught up when you're bored. How is that going to be different in the community?
I have to stay busy. I have to follow through instead of say I'm going to do this. I have to actually follow through with it. I have to do my mental health counseling. I have to stay with my groups.
Okay. And your proposed residence, is that with your grandmother? Is that who Helen is?
Yes.
Is she?
My proposed residence is B4 housing.
Okay, because I thought that I saw, where is it? 985 Dimick Road in East Hardwick, residing with Helen.
That's my old residence.
Okay.
It's a possibility. I prefer to be in housing, in some sort of program set up.
Okay. I'm all set with questions. Thank you.
Okay. There are no further questions. What is the pleasure of the board for today?
I'll make a motion for deliberative session.
Second.
Motion's made and second for the board to enter a deliberative session. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We shall return shortly. Thank you.
The board is on their way back. We are back on the record for Shane Demick.
Thank you. So Shane, at this time, it is a unanimous decision. We are not granting parole. However, we would like to say that if during this interim period, with your work with your community supervision and your caseworker, a plan develops where you can get into something like V4, as you mentioned, and some release planning takes place, that we would be happy to schedule a hearing to consider that release plan. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
So, Colby.
Mm-hmm.
Has Dawn showed up yet? No. Dawn is not at the facility right this minute.
Okay.
So I don't know what more you would like to do.
We can move on to the next one, Mr. Ford.
I have Delile in them.
Who?
I'm waiting on Ford. Delile is in here.
Delile? Is there a Delile on the list?
Yeah.
He is. We can do him next.
Okay.
Let me see if I can get his PO on real quick, just in
Is that
case.
Damon? Yeah.
Yes, Damien.
Can you call Charlie Rumble about Ford? Yeah, Evan type. Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Move closer so they can hear you better. Up the top.
Ford, not Chevy, Ford.
Good morning, Mr. Delisle. We'll begin your hearing in just a moment. We're pulling up some paperwork.
All right.
How's that, Colby?
Okay. Good morning. Today's date is September 24th, 2024, and we are doing a Northern State Correctional Facility hearings via Microsoft Teams. This is a parole hearing for Damien Delile. Present today are parole board members Dean George, Wayne Dangler, and Samantha Drake, the offender Damien Delile, caseworker Stephanie Molly, and Colby Lino for the parole board office. I'll now turn this hearing over to the chair.
Good morning, Damien. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Damien, have you reviewed the report written for the hearing this morning?
Excuse me, can you repeat that?
Sure. Have you reviewed the report written for the hearing this morning?
Yes, I have.
Okay. We're going to ask Stephanie to fill us in on what's going on with your case and what's being planned by corrections for you. And your field parole officer, Liz, is here as well. So I'm sorry, Lisa Wilson is here. So we'll ask her to offer any input she has as well for us.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So Stephanie, we'll begin with you. Good morning.
Good morning, Dean. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. As of right now, the department is not recommending Mr. Damien for positive parole. He is serving a 2-year interrupt. In the next 2 weeks, he'll be a year into that interrupt. The interrupt is up on the 12th of 2025, October 12th, 2025. He's fairly new to my caseload. I don't have any issues meeting with him. I think he's acknowledged the fact that, he has issue with substance use and he wants to participate in like AA and church activities if he would get the chance to get parole. But as of right now, we're just not in support of that.
Is there any other programming that he would be participating in while incarcerated?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, Lisa. Do you have anything
Good
to
morning.
add?
Nope, that's our position right now.
Thank you. So Damien, is there anything that you want to mention to the board at this time?
No, I think you guys got all the information. I was
Okay.
just, I'm sitting on there a year and it's pretty much dead time. I know, if I get out, I can go to rehab and get the help I need. As I sit in here, I'm kind of just sitting doing nothing. I have no programming and stuff to do.
Are you on the MAT program at this time?
Yes, I'm on the MAP program.
Okay, and how is that
It's
affecting
going
you?
all right.
Okay. Thank you. Questions from the board, Wayne?
I have none, I guess. No,
Samantha?
I don't have any either, thank you.
Okay. What is the pleasure of the board then for Damien at this time?
I'll make a motion.
Go ahead.
Go
Go
for
ahead,
it.
I make a motion, we not grant parole at this time.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Motion has been made and seconded, not granting parole at this time to Damien Delile. Hopefully we'll get a chance to see him soon. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you.
You go.
Yeah.
Thank you. Stephanie, will Mr. Ford be next?
We called him and just waiting for him to come in the room.
Okay, perfect. While we wait for him, board, if I could have a private session with you for a moment?
Sure.
Has been calling, but I don't know if she's leaving voicemails for me because other people are forwarding. Yes, so I got a. That he, so I don't know.
Good morning.
Yeah. So we talked.
Absolutely. Yeah, hey, don't see it here from prisoners right yet.
So you see.
Oh, all right. Good. Okay, perfect. Thank you, sir. Mike. Thanks. Yes, here.
So I think you're up next, so I'm just gonna go out here and wait. Is this the first time you've seen the ball?
Yeah.
Oh, so just leave you in, just, we're gonna have some questions for you. And just, yeah, sure.
Okay, the board is on their way back. Thank you for everybody's patience. Is this Mr. Ford?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, good morning, Mr. Ford.
Good morning.
The board is on their way back. They're popping in right now, and then we will begin your hearing in just a moment while we pull up your paperwork.
Okay.
Board members, this is Mr. Ford.
Okay.
Did you let Lisa give you a copy of the?
Good morning, Sean.
Morning.
No.
Do you need a minute to load up that?
Do you think
I'll check with you.
I,
let's go.
All right. Good morning. Today's date is September 24th, 2024, and we are doing a Northern State Correctional Facility hearing via Microsoft Teams. This is a parole hearing for Evan Ford. Present today are parole board members Dean George, Wayne Dangler, and Samantha Drake. The offender, Evan Ford, caseworker Stephanie Molly, PO Sean DeRider, and Colby Lino for the parole board office. I'm now turning this hearing over to the chair.
Thank you. Morning, Mr. Ford. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Have you reviewed the report written for this hearing?
I haven't, no.
Okay. Do you know, Stephanie, if he's been provided a copy of this or not?
no, I didn't write the summary. I did offer him if he wants to review it, which he
Okay.
said he doesn't need to.
Okay.
But I was gonna give him the chance to print him out a copy of it.
Okay. Before any hearing that the board conducts, you're to be given a copy of the report to review up to 7 days prior to the hearing. So we would leave that up to you if you want to take a minute to review the report or wait until the next time we can schedule this and have a chance to review it at length. That's up to you.
Oh, okay, let's.
Okay. Then we'll proceed with the hearing and begin with Stephanie filling us in on what's going on with Evan Ford's case.
Currently, Mr. Ford is being given a positive recommendation for parole. He has an approved housing and has been approved to complete program while in the community. He is just, I guess, been waiting for a date to be out. But as of right now, the department is in support of a positive recommendation.
Okay. And do you have his record check right there, Stephanie?
Yes, give me 1 second. Let me grab it.
Sure.
I do, Dean.
Okay. I noted in the report, it's been determined that he would be referred to programming in the community as there's no time frames for him to do any in the facility. So has there been any programming in the facility at all?
No, sir.
Okay. And the numbers for the offenses, the total number of felonies and misdemeanors, and I'm sorry if it's in the report, I couldn't find it, but it might be there as well.
So as far as felony charges,
Mm-hmm.
he has had 9 felony charges, but convicted of 3.
Okay.
And as far as misdemeanor, he has had 3 misdemeanor, but convicted of 0.
Okay. Thank you.
About failure of peers? Should be right on the top of that list.
Give me 1 second. 0 failure to appear.
Violations of conditions of release?
0, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Prior VOPs?
0.
Thank you.
So Evan, what is the residence that you've had proposed that has been approved?
It was my parents' house, my sister's house now.
Okay. In Bennington, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. If we were to ask you what has changed since you've been incarcerated, how would you respond to that?
What has changed?
Changed for you, yeah.
My health is a lot better. I'm taking a lot better care of myself. A lot of that was a precipitating factor in everything that did happen. I have kidney disease. I have subdural lesions that cause a severe migraine disorder. High blood pressure now. I didn't have it at the time. It was actually low. High triglyceride. I have a lot of health problems. Let's just sum it up in that. And it just changes my outlook on everything. It really does. I've been through a lot of surgeries, 2 while I was in, 3 before I came in.
So, in not trying to revisit the past, because I don't think that's always productive, but obviously these were pretty serious offenses that occurred back then. And anytime that you involve firearms, especially in today's world, it raises a lot of concerns to people. How are you different in that regard?
I'll be honest with you, I've never really liked firearms. I don't ever want one again.
What is your relationship to the victims and their families?
I don't even know them. They were in the house. I was not myself. I went looking for somebody to scare them. I had no intention of using the firearm, and I exhibited that when I emptied it at the front door. Took everything out of it, and I feel very bad that they were where they were. They didn't do anything to me.
Are you still hoping to have your supervision transferred at some point?
What is that now?
Are you still looking to have your supervision transferred to Pennsylvania at some point?
Yes, after I finish the programming and spend the year saving, get a job, save money so that I can go to Pennsylvania, apply for the interstate compact.
Okay, thank you. Other questions from the board? Wayne?
If you were or are a licensed LPN in New York?
Yes.
Felony convictions don't affect that at all?
No, I don't think I can work as an LPN anywhere. I mean, I'd have to look into it, but that was, right for what once you have a felony conviction, it's done,
Yeah. Well, that's what I was wondering. I don't know if you'd explored that or not. What do you plan on doing for work?
I am capable of doing a lot of other things. I've worked doing warehousing, freight handling. I've worked in retail. I've worked in some factories. I was a licensed pari-mutuel ticket broker at the Saratoga Harness Track as a part-time job through most of the 90s. I don't know if I'd be able to do that again, but there are racetracks in Pennsylvania,
What are you planning on doing if you're paroled?
I'm going to be 60 years old, so I'm probably going to just shoot for something entry level somewhere, and maybe back in retail, something that's where I'm doing a combination of the two, with the retail and the warehousing, unloading trucks.
But you haven't made any inquiries as to employment.
There's an app on the tablets here. It's called Honest Jobs. I've been looking at what's available out there. And these are businesses that work with ex-convicts, you know, the hire ex-convicts.
Okay.
So I have a good idea of what's out there, but have I been in contact with anybody yet? No.
Okay, thank you. And what's in Pennsylvania that draws you there?
2 of my 3 sons are there, and 3 of my 5 grandkids are there.
Guess that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. John Ritter, do you have anything to add? See you popped on. Thank you.
Nothing from my perspective, just because I haven't dealt with Evan, whether it's in the facility or if it's in the field. I do know that I think Lucinda was coming on to talk about the victim perspective. So that's,
yeah, we have already. Yeah.
That's about all I have.
Yeah.
It seems like it would be a positive recommendation because he's at his minimum, but I have nothing negative or positive because I don't know him.
Okay, thank you. Pam, questions?
Evan, do you have anger issues? Do you have an anger issue? Was that an issue? Was that a problem for you?
I don't know if I call it anger. I have an anxiety problem, which is treated. I was in, you know, very bad shape 10 years ago with everything that had gone on in the previous 10 years, you know, with divorce, being away from my kids, losing my house, a lot of family members passing away. So, I mean, I guess maybe it could be looked at as a PTSD, but it's never been called that.
So I'm asking because in one of your responses, where it says, what situations do you see as high risk? The response is places where people have to bother, irritate, and annoy others. So if you're irritated, how would you respond to that?
Walk away.
Because if you want to go back into retail, people are annoying in the stores.
Oh yeah, I know. I am a very patient person, but I just, yeah, I would, like I said, be looking more, not that I can't handle being at a cash register with, you know, people snapping their fingers and being unreasonable. I'm just not big on seeing people treat other people unreasonably, whether it's me or somebody else. I would look more into the quieter side of it, doing the unloading of the trucks and the stocking of shelves, yes. But I wouldn't turn down a job at a cash register, no.
Okay.
If I thought I couldn't do it, I would walk away from it and ask to be put somewhere else or get another job. It's, you know, again, I'm not where I was at 10 years ago right now. I'm beyond a lot of things, so.
Okay. I'm all set with questions. Thank you.
Thank you. If there are no other questions, what is the pleasure of the board, please?
I'll make a motion that we grant.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Dan.
That we grant parole to Evan Ford today.
Thank you.
Second.
The motion has been made and seconded to grant parole to Evan Ford. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. It is unanimous. Congratulations, Evan.
Thank you.
Evan, I'm going to take a minute and just quickly review the conditions that will be in your parole agreement. And as I go through these, if you have any questions, just let me know.
Okay.
You also get a copy of those.
Okay.
And you'll get a copy of these as well. The first few are general conditions that apply to everyone. You cannot commit any act punishable by law, including violating any court orders. You must report within 24 hours any contact with law enforcement you have to your parole officer.
Okay.
Report to your parole officer when you've been requested to and notify him about any changes in your employment or residence. Allow your parole officer to visit you at your home or place of employment as necessary. You're not allowed to purchase, possess, or handle firearms or ammunition while you're on parole. And you must get a travel permit from your parole officer to go out of state for any reason.
Okay.
Additionally, participate in any program, screening, or counseling that may be required of you, allowing the provider to disclose your attending and participating. Additionally, there is a condition that is specific to domestic violence offenders, which would be in place, just the one that says that you cannot have any contact with your victims through any means, including third-party contract, unless it's been approved in advance by your parole officer. And in addition to that, we would want you to have some sort of an incidental contact plan so that if for some reason you ran into some of the victims or either of the victims or their family members incidentally, you would have a plan on how you're going to deal with that, and certainly notify your parole officer should that occur. Okay. And the last one is that your residence, which has been approved, must be approved by your parole officer. Any questions about any of those?
No.
Okay, good. Thank you. I think you're all set.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
You all have a good day.
You too.
All right, we'll talk later.
Okay. Very good.
Sean,
And I'll
I'll
get-
tell you.
Go ahead, Stephanie.
Sorry. Sean, I'll send you an email.
Thank you.
And I will get paperwork out to both of you in just a couple minutes for him.
Awesome, thank you.
All right, and I heard
Thank you
that
all.
Dawn is at the facility, am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, so we would like to go with Mr. Kyle Lowe, please.
Let me go let her know. How you doing? How are you?
Hello again, Dawn.
Good morning.
All right, and you said that you had some evidentiary witnesses for this hearing, am I correct?
I believe I have one. Andy Bartnick, who's an investigator, is going to testify during the evidentiary phase.
Okay, I am seeing Mr. Burtneck in the room, so I will have to sequester him until it is time for his hearing. Mr. Burtneck, can you hear me?
Good morning. I can hear you,
Okay.
but I can't see you right now. I could see you a minute ago.
We can see you, Mr. Bartnick.
Yes, we can see you.
Well, that's good.
So what I need to do is I'm going to put you in a separate room. You don't have to do anything on your end, but we're all going to disappear. And then when it's time for your testimony, I will bring you back into the main hearing room.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. So just hang tight and we'll bring you back as soon as we're ready for you.
Thanks.
And Bob, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, perfect. And you didn't have anybody for evidentiary witnesses, am I correct?
I don't, I thought we might have a police officer, but I'll defer to Shannon on that. I think maybe it didn't pan out.
Yeah, we were not able to verify if he was going to actually attend today or not.
So I think as far as housekeeping on the back end, Dean, I am all set. So whenever you are ready, I can get us going on this one.
Just before we get started, are you requesting confrontation at this point, Dawn?
Yes, Dean.
Okay.
My understanding is that this is the second hearing where the department has not had a witness. And so we would ask that the board dismiss the condition 1 violation. Mr. Law would admit the condition 2 violation. But given that this is the second hearing and there's no subpoena and there's no witness, we would ask the board at this time. Mr. Lowe hasn't been arraigned yet on the criminal charge. I think the department could certainly bring that back at some point. You know, there's a strong self-defense claim to the criminal charge. I don't know what's going to happen once he's arraigned on that misdemeanor, but at this point, I would say the department doesn't get a third chance to have a hearing when Mr. Lowe is held, when they have no witnesses and they haven't subpoenaed the officer. I will also tell you that what Mr. Bartnick was going to testify to is that he went and spoke with a complainant who was in the officer's affidavit. The complainant was unwilling to discuss what had happened. He was also unwilling to discuss what had happened with Mr. Bartnick. And so I think there's problems with this case on many levels, and we would ask that the board at this point dismiss without prejudice the condition 1 violation. And let's proceed on the condition 2.
5 minutes before 10:45 head count. All I
And Simone and Bob.
So this is the first time I'm handling the case. I wasn't aware that there had been a prior hearing where the witness hadn't been subpoenaed. There are significant admissions from Mr. Lowe to the officer in this case. And so we would ask that the case be continued to next month to give us an opportunity to actually subpoena the officer, to bring him in so that we can get the full story of what happened with this condition 1 violation.
And again, I understand maybe one continuance to subpoena a witness, but twice. This is the second time we've been here and the witness hasn't even been subpoenaed. So again, I think the department can bring it back at some point, but at this point, we ask that it be dismissed and we proceed on the condition 2.
There is nothing further, then I would ask the board to support a motion for a deliberative session to discuss this request.
I'll make a motion for deliberative session.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to enter a deliberative session. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We'll return shortly.
Oh my God, I hate this. I hate this setup.
The board is on their way back. Did we lose Wayne?
Um,
Oh,
Here he
okay,
is.
he's here. I heard him.
Yeah.
Okay, we are back on for Mr. Kyle Lowe.
Okay, so it's kind of a tricky situation for the board, but what we have decided is that because next month begins next week, we're going to postpone this hearing to early part of the month as soon as we can schedule him in, which could be as early as next Wednesday. Presuming that you have an opportunity to serve a subpoena on the officers that are involved in this, and we can move forward. I take it
John,
no
you're
subpoenas
muted.
have been issued at this point. Is that correct?
I didn't catch the date, Dean. Did you say Wednesday?
I'm thinking the earliest we could get them in would be next Wednesday. So if it's possible to get a subpoena and get it served by then, we can proceed.
That would be October 2nd, Dawn.
Okay. I think that works on our end and.
Okay. Bob and
Get 'em out.
Shannon?
Hard to subpoena the officer.
Yes,
Yeah,
that works.
I think
Okay.
that works. And we'll send the request for the subpoena over now or
Okay.
shortly after here. So we'd be looking for a subpoena for Officer Colin Sykes from Newport Police.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I'll be in touch.
All right. And
Colby,
yes,
could you just let Mr. Bartnick know that we're all set?
yes,
And I'll be
I
in touch
will.
with him. Thank you.
Yep. And I believe next up is Matthew Puru.
Yes.
Colby, can you put Bob and Mariah and I in a separate room, please?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Can you hear them? Okay.
Yeah.
You say Mr. Pru is next?
Yes, Mr. Puru is
Okay.
next. All right, that room is opening, Max. If somebody could just shoot me a Teams message when you're to come back, I'll bring you back to the main room.
Will do. Thank you.
Excuse me for a second, board members, while they get everything all together. I'm gonna let the witness know that the
Okay.
hearing is over.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good.
All right, they're on their way back. All right, welcome back, everybody. We're just waiting for Dawn to be ready and then we can proceed. We still have quite a few people in the viewing area. Is there anybody here that either attorney has requested for evidentiary? I
Not
saw
on our-
Bob say no. Okay.
Not on our part, right?
Can you hold on 1 second, Colby? I'm having a quick conversation with Mr. Puru, and then I'll answer that question.
Absolutely.
There are some witnesses, I believe they're entirely disposition, but if I can just have 1 minute with my client, that would be great.
Not a problem. Thank you.
Count the tears. Okay, count the tears.
So Colby, you said there were some people calling in, and I just want to be sure that we have there are some witnesses who I think we're going to call in, and then some witnesses that wanted the board to call them, because I explained that we might be off schedule today. Susan Kay is one of our disposition witnesses. I see she's here. And then there was Penny Flynn and Ann Puru. Penny's number is 624-3594, and Ann is 397-2697. I'm not sure if those are the people that are on or someone else. You're muted.
I just saw that. I have no phone numbers on. I did, but they have hung up since then. I have some people on that have joined regularly. If you give me those phone numbers again, I can write them down for when it's time to call them in.
Thank you. And you originally called them anytime. They're disposition witnesses.
Okay.
And so they're welcome to listen to the violation phase. I understand
Okay.
it.
Yeah, I can call them in now too. I just I was not.
624-3594.
And you said that was Penny Flynn?
Flynn,
Okay.
Flynn, and then Ann Puru is 397-2697.
Okay, let me call them right now, get them on, so that way we don't have to worry about it.
Hello.
Yes, is Miss Flynn available? Hello?
Hello.
Is Miss Flynn available?
Yes, just a moment. Penny.
Hello?
Hello, Miss Flynn. My name is Colby Lino. I'm with the Vermont Parole Board, and we are about to start Matthew Puru's hearing.
Okay.
Okay, all we ask is that you hit *6 on your phone to mute your microphone, and when it's time to add any information, we'll ask you to hit *6 to unmute.
Okay, so *6?
6, yes. And I'm calling Miss Puru right now. Hello, is Miss Puru available?
Yes, this is Ann. I'm here.
Hi. Hi, Ann. This is Colby with
Hi.
the Parole Board, and we are about to start Matthew Puru's hearing.
Okay, hi, Kobe.
All right. All we ask is that you hit *6 on your phone to mute your microphone, and when it's time to add any information, we'll ask you to hit *6 to unmute.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So I believe that is everybody, board members. So if you are ready, I will get us on the record.
Okay.
Good morning. Today's date is September 24th, 2024, and we are doing a Northern State Correctional Facility hearing via Microsoft Teams. This is a parole violation hearing for Matthew Puru. Present today are parole board members Dean George, Wayne Dangler, and Samantha Drake. The parolee, Matthew Puru, PO Mariah Almy, Supervisor Maxwell Maloney, Prisoners' Rights Attorney Don Siebert, DOC Attorney Robert Menzel, and Colby Lino for the Parole Board Office. I'll now turn this hearing over to the chair.
Good morning, Matthew. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, yes,
Well,
sir.
I haven't heard it before.
So, Matthew, in the first part of the hearing, there are a few conditions of your parole agreement that you've been charged with violating. So I'm going to begin by reading those to you one at a time, and I'll ask you to either admit or deny them. For any that you choose to deny, we'll ask your parole officer to provide the board with the information on that issue, and we'll decide if it is sufficient to find that you did violate it or not. If we find that you did violate any of these conditions, then we'll go to disposition, the second part of the hearing where we talk about your parole status, and then we'll make a decision on that. During the hearing, if you wish to speak with your attorney, Don Siebert, at any time, just let me know and we'll pause the hearing and allow you to talk with her confidentially and then resume the hearing. Also, if there are pending criminal charges and you testify at this hearing, what you say here cannot be used against you. Don, you're saying there aren't any?
There's no pending charges, Dean. There was a misdemeanor unlawful trespass to which Mr.
Yeah.
pled guilty, and the
Okay.
DLS has been dismissed.
Okay, thank you.
But thank you for the warning.
So Matthew, would you raise your right hand, please? Do you solemnly swear the information you provide at this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. And Mariah, would you raise your right hand, please? Do you solemnly swear the information you provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. And Maxwell, are you testifying in the evidentiary part of this?
No, I'm just covering down, attending this
Okay.
as well, because Mariah actually has since switched departments, so she graciously volunteered to still represent in this case.
Oh, isn't that great?
So.
Thank you. All right. So Matthew, the first condition is that you shall not commit any act punishable by law, including violating any court orders, if there are any. Do you admit or deny violating that?
I admit that.
Thank you. The second one is that you must report within 24 hours any contact with law enforcement you have to your parole officer. Do you admit or deny violating that?
I admit that too.
And the next one is you must report to your parole officer when you've been requested to and notify your parole officer about any changes in your residence or employment. Do you admit or deny violating that condition?
Okay. I admit that.
And the last one is that you must participate in any programming, counseling, or screening that's been recommended by your parole officer or the board, allowing the provider to disclose you're attending and participating. Do you admit or deny that?
I'm sorry. Can we have 1 second? I apologize.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Sorry. All right, Mr. Puru was a little nervous, but we're understandably, but we're all set to proceed.
Okay, so again, number 7, the last condition is that you must participate in programming that's been recommended for you, letting the provider disclose you're attending and participating. Do you admit or deny that?
I'm going to deny that one.
Okay. So Mariah, we would need your information on condition number 7. Sorry, can't hear you.
I can't see her either. I don't know if anyone else can, but,
Yeah, we've got her on.
Yeah, I can see her.
okay.
Just can't hear her.
Try coming out and coming back in.
How about now?
Yes.
How about, yeah.
Okay. Still good?
Yes, still good.
Okay. There was, Mr. Puru was cited for a DLS by Orleans County Sheriffs on 7/2/2024. With this came a sanction to complete a CJRC sanction panel, the programming through that. He was unresponsive to Sue. I have an email in the packet from Sue Russell saying she was closing the sanction panel because Mr. Puru was not engaging and she was unable to contact him.
Thank you. Don.
Mariah, can you, for the board, detail the efforts that Susan made to get in touch with Mr. Puru?
No, I cannot.
Okay. And I don't have any more questions for Mariah, but Mr. Puru has some testimony on this point.
Okay. I'll let you direct him. Go ahead.
Mr. Puru, when you received the sanction, when Mariah gave you the sanction to complete this panel, how did you respond to that with her?
Well, I asked how I proceed with it. I mean, who am I supposed to contact somebody and some details? And she did say Sue Russell, but I was under the impression that when I left, asked the details, am I supposed to contact her? Is she going to contact me? And Mariah said, I want to see you again on August 2nd. Not really responding. I had no idea it was going to be that quickly. She was going to try to get a hold of me, or I mean, I thought it was going to be weeks down the road or after the arraignment, or, you know, I mean, she didn't really give me any details as to how to proceed with that sanction. And I mean, I'm more than willing to do the sanction. I just didn't know it was going to come and go that quickly.
Do you know Sue Russell?
I've dealt with her in the past in the restorative board and CJC years ago.
If Mariah had given you Sue's number, would you have called her?
Absolutely.
Okay. And did you get any messages or texts from Sue Russell?
No, I did not.
Okay. Nothing further, but I would argue that without any evidence as to.
I have a question though.
Yeah, go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, so uncross. So you said that she then during your course of your conversation with Mariah, she ordered you to come in on August 2nd, correct?
Yes.
And you failed to attend that meeting, correct?
I did. Yes.
Okay. I don't have anything further. That's all.
So Mr. Puru, that it's a separate violation, not reporting on August 2nd, and Mr. Puru has admitted to that. But in terms of the failure to complete the CJRC panel, absent more specifics from, Ms. Russell in terms of her attempts to engage him, I would argue that the board can't find him in violation of that condition.
Sure, and I would just point out that Mariah ordered him to come in on August 2nd to further discuss the details of that, and he failed to report. So I think this is a blame shifting exercise that doesn't hold water. So I'd ask that you find him guilty on that.
Thank you. If there's nothing further on the violations, what is the pleasure of the board, please?
Move to find him guilty of violating his conditions of parole, number 1, number 2, number 3, and take no action on number 7.
I'll second.
Motion is made and seconded to find Matthew Puru guilty of violating conditions 1, 2, and 3 of his parole agreement and take no action on number 7. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. It is unanimous. We'll move on to disposition. And Mariah, we'll begin with you and the Department of Corrections recommendation, please.
As far as I know, sir, Department of Corrections recommendation is revocation. Mr. Puru is unsupervisable in the community. He fails to report, he absconds. He has a history of that. All attempts to locate him are futile. He claims that he's going to live with his mother. She doesn't see him for weeks. She doesn't let P&P know. He claims he has this job that he's going to do, but hasn't worked for them in years. He does nothing to get his license back or his CDL that he says he's going to do. He claims that he wants to take care of his children and be in his mother's home, but they don't see him for weeks at a time. He refuses to address his substance use issues. At this point, like I said, he's unsupervisable, and he should have been incarcerated for his case staffing time, but he was granted parole and then absconded again 2 months later.
Thank you. Ron Seaver.
I have a couple questions for Mariah, and then we have some disposition evidence. Mariah, is it fair to say that you disagreed with the board's decision to parole him in May 2024?
Yes.
Okay. Had you supervised him before May 2024?
Yes.
Okay. And when he was out this time, he missed one appointment with you, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I don't have any more questions from Mariah, but we do have some disposition witnesses.
Okay, proceed, please.
I would ask Susan Kay to testify. Susan, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Can you introduce yourself, Ms. Kay, and explain, the business in which you're employed?
Susan Kay, one of the owners of Eustis Cable. Matt had worked for us for several years. Mariah, you are correct. He hasn't worked for us for a few years now. When Matt was employed, he's a real craftsman at his trade. He's very good at it, and personable. He has a wonderful personality with our customers when he was out there. His quality of work can be excellent, and I think he's very employable.
And how long have you known him, Ms. Kay?
Oh, I'd say 8 years anyway.
Okay. And
8+.
When he worked for you, what was his position?
He was an underground foreman.
Okay. And can you describe sort of his aptitude for that?
Like I said, I consider Matt a real craftsman at his trade. And the other special thing about Matt, if you had an area and had to try to figure out how to get through it, and it could be difficult for some people, Matt generally could find a way to get through with the underground. And I know Mike Palmer, the other owner of Eustis, when he had a difficult job, a plugged conduit or something, Matt was always the one he went to. So I was going to say he was relied upon for those skills that Matt had. And like I said, he's very personable with our customers.
And would you?
Oops, sorry.
No,
I was going to say, being a foreman for underground, which means he was assigned an F550, an excavator, a trencher. So he's also responsible for our equipment, our expensive equipment.
And he was responsible with that?
Yes.
Okay. And would you employ him in the future?
Yes. And I want to be straight up with what Mariah said. Matt does underground. We do shut down in the wintertime on underground. We shut down in November. So I just want to be clear about that. We are more coming towards the end of our season right now.
And when Matt was out, were you assisting him with getting a CDL?
Yes, we're just starting the process. We're just at the beginning of starting the process. Correct.
No further questions for Ms. Kay.
So I have a couple questions. Was he working for you during July and August of this year?
No, it's been a couple years since Matt's worked for us. A few years.
Okay, so he hasn't been in your employ for several years.
I think two plus years. Yes.
2+ years. So you don't really know what kind of condition he's been in the last couple of years.
No, I do not. I do have phone conversations with him. I saw him last summer for a 4th of July party. But that's the last time I personally saw Matt.
Okay. Nothing further.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kay. And
You're
now
welcome.
I have some questions for Penny Flynn. Ms. Flynn, can you hear me?
Miss Flynn, you have to hit *6 on your phone to unmute your microphone.
Hello?
Ms. Flynn.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you. Can you just introduce yourself to the board, please, Ms. Flynn?
My name is Penny Flynn.
And how do you know Matthew Puru?
Two of my boys, one of them still works for Hustis, so I knew Matt through them. So it's been quite a few years that I've known him, and I believe he worked with both of my children.
And just to be clear, you said that was at Eustis Cable?
Yes.
Okay. And was there a period in this past summer when Matt was spending time at your house when he was ill?
Yes.
And can you tell the board, what happened and about the illness?
He started not feeling well, and it just seemed to progressively get worse. He was like right in bed most days, where towards the end he couldn't even get out of bed. And there were days that he had intended to go to the urgent care, and he didn't feel well enough to ride in the car, so it kind of prolonged and finally got him to the emergency room.
Mm-hmm. And do you know what he was diagnosed with?
No, I know it was some kind of a bacterial infection, I think. I know it was a infection, and he was given antibiotics of some sort.
Okay. So it sounds like you spent quite a bit of time with Matt over the summer. Can you tell the board sort of how was that for you in your home? Was it helpful? And how did he get along with everyone?
He got along fine. He was helpful if he saw that I needed the trash taken out or anything. He would just go do it. My grandchildren were here. He was very good with them. When he wasn't sick, he went outside and played with them, hung up a hammock for them. Was very pleasant. I have nothing negative to say about him.
Mm-hmm. So I know he stayed with you for a period of time, but did he move any belongings into your home?
No. You mean like personal effects?
Yes.
No.
Okay. I don't have any further questions for Ms. Flynn.
Thank you. Bob?
So just to clarify, what was the time frame that of this sickness?
I know it was, I don't know, it was over a week.
No, I mean, like, what month was it?
Oh, must have been July, I believe. I'm not good with time and dates. But it was up until he got incarcerated, whenever, and I don't even know the date of that.
So he was with you in July, and your residence is not approved for him to stay there, correct?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Nobody has, I've only spoke with his lawyer.
Okay. And so your claim is that he was sick and bedridden until he was taken back into custody from July?
Pretty close to then. I think he had just started feeling better.
Okay. Okay, I don't have any questions.
Ms. Flynn, just to jog your memory, you had sent me some records regarding Mr. Puru going into the hospital on August 5th and August 6th. Does that jog your memory as to when he was ill?
Yeah, so it must have been, yeah, the end of, towards the middle of July to, I'm not sure. I really don't know. I know he was sick for a while. And then whenever it was, like I said, I'm not real good with the dates and stuff. I was hurt too through part of that time, so I'm not real good on.
Was he sick in the days leading up to going to the hospital?
Was he, pardon me?
Was he ill and bedridden in the days leading up to going to the hospital?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any more questions for Ms. Flynn.
You still have one other.
Ann Puru as a disposition witness. Ms. Puru, can you hear me?
Hello?
Hi, Ann.
Hello?
This is John Siebert, Matt's attorney. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, so you're on the phone, but in the parole board hearing, and I just have a couple questions about some of the statements you made to his PO. Can you just clarify what happened with the truck this past summer?
Okay. I do want to clarify that aspect, and I was wrong about the date that he left. He did leave on the 17th. It wasn't the 11th. I got my wrong Thursdays of July. Okay, so as far as the truck goes, he was in the process of buying the truck, but it needed to be fixed. So it was taken to the garage, and he dealt with the garage. And every statement that I made to anyone, to Mariah, to the statement that I wrote, I put down that he did not steal my truck. What I was concerned about was the fact that the truck was registered in my name and titled in my name. And because I didn't know where it was or if anyone was driving it, I didn't want to be responsible if it was in any kind of an accident as being in my name. I wanted it on my property, which it was returned to my property once I was able to get a hold of Matthew and get that returned to my house. And I do have it. So, but I never said it was stolen. I just wanted it returned. If Mariah had happened to see it, or I mean, get a hold of him or whatever, I didn't know if she was going to go looking for him. So that was my main purpose, was just to get it back to my property for my own protection, as far as it being registered and insured. I mean, registered and titled in my name.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
And you said Matt brought the truck back himself, right?
He did. Him and someone else drove it, but yes, he brought it back.
Okay, all right. And during this time, I know there's been some testimony that Matt was staying elsewhere, but all his belongings were at your house, correct?
Yes, he didn't come back. He didn't move anything from here. Okay.
Okay, all right. And you said Matt brought the truck back himself, right?
He did. Him and someone else drove it, but yes, he brought it back.
Okay, all right. And during this time, I know there's been some testimony that Matt was staying elsewhere, but all his belongings were at your house, correct?
Yes, he didn't come back. He didn't move anything from here.
Okay, so he didn't move out.
No.
Okay, I don't have any further questions for Ms. Pru.
So that the statement that you gave to Mariah, that's an accurate statement. The written
As far
statement
as
that you made.
She came to my house 3 times. I cooperated. I told her where I thought he was. And when the last time that she came, they handed me a paper and a pen and told me to write down a statement about the truck. And as far as I can remember, like I said, I've always stated that all I wanted was to get the truck back to my house so that I was not responsible in case someone else was driving it and got into an accident. They decided to sue me because it was registered and titled in my name. That was the only reason. So I did write down, because I thought that was something that I had to do. Unbeknownst to me, I didn't really have to do that. I told her this twice. She came to my house 3 times. So, or their office, someone from their office came to my house. It was 3 times in the 3 weeks that he was not here.
Okay. And did they explain to you that he was on supervision and he wasn't responding to their request for meetings?
They might have told me that, and I told them the same thing. I had been trying to reach out to him also, and with no responses.
So it would be fair to say that during July, he was out of contact with you and he had your truck.
He was out of contact with me for, yes. And he had the truck with him, which somewhere, I don't know where. I don't know the details of who had what where, but.
All right. And on July 22nd, you spoke with a different member of the Department of Corrections, right? CCO Schoenig?
Yes, that's why I said someone different came, but there was 3 times when people came here looking for him, but I didn't know where he was. I mean,
during that meeting, you told that individual that you had called VSP and reported the truck stolen, correct?
Well, that was Mariah's suggestion to me, was to call the Vermont State Police and let them know that my truck was in his possession as far as I knew, and that I just wanted it returned. I told the police the same thing. It wasn't actually stolen per se, because he was purchasing it, but I just wanted it back to protect my assets.
All right. And you also at that point said that you hadn't heard from Matthew and believed that he was staying in Troy, Vermont?
I did, and that was hearsay. I mean, I never went to Troy. I was told that he was staying at a house in between Troy and North Troy and Troy on that road. Yes.
And then you said that you had seen them posting pictures of them in your truck, correct?
I had seen one picture posted online in my truck, yes.
Okay. And that was, do you remember when that picture was from?
I have no idea. No, I don't remember.
Okay, but it would have been sometime. Sorry?
I think it was soon after he had picked up the truck from the garage.
Okay, so it would have been sometime in that.
End of July.
End of July, beginning of August?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was the end of July.
All right, I don't have any other questions for the witness.
I just have one more question for Ms. Pru. And if Matt is continued on parole today, is he welcome to come back and live at your house?
Yes, he is welcome to come back to my house, but I need to be told whether or not, if he leaves my house, that I am supposed to call someone, because as I stated, I don't believe he was under conditions to be housed here, but I'm not sure what the rule was there. But he's 45, and if he's supposed to get a hold of his parole officer to let her know that, but he didn't really change houses. He just didn't come back here for a few weeks. Evidently, he was sick, went to the hospital. I'm not sure what happened. But if I'm told that I need to report to anyone that he is no longer at my house, then I can. But I believe she came here maybe 3 days after he'd left, or less, maybe more. I don't know. Wasn't long after he wasn't here that she came here looking for him. So, the first time.
Thank you, Ms. Puru. I don't have any more disposition witnesses except for Mr. Puru.
Well, I just have a follow-up. I have a follow-up to that real quick, Dean. So,
Yes, go ahead.
Ms. Puru, you sounded kind of, bothered that the corrections staff showed up at your house looking for Mr. Puru. Is that going to be a problem going forward?
No, I wasn't bothered by it. I was just, I just wasn't aware that I was the one who was supposed to be reporting to Mariah that he had left. And I didn't know that he had maybe reported himself, or, I mean, if I'm supposed to, that's fine, I will. And no, I don't have a problem with them showing up here. If they're looking for him, that's where else they're gonna go.
And are you willing to be the individual that contacts the department if he disappears from your house again for a couple weeks?
I am willing to do that. If it's told to me that that's what I'm supposed to do, then yes, that is exactly what I will do.
Okay. Oh, have any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so Mr. Puru, let's start with the appointment you missed on August 2nd. Can you tell the board what happened and why you missed that appointment?
The end of July, early August, when I left the house, I had no intention of being gone for that long. I was helping a friend move out of her. She just had a relationship. I was helping her move her stuff and setting up a yard sale. I planned to be gone for just a few days. Something happened. I don't know if I got a cut or something, but I got a bacterial infection and it manifested quite severely. From the end of August to probably, I don't know, 26th, 27th. I really don't have the dates either, but.
I mean, end of July.
I'm sorry, yeah, the end of July, my fault. I started feeling ill and I got a rash all over my body, and as well as some personal things that I don't really feel like discussing, but it affected my ability to walk and stand and urinate. And, it was very, very painful. And, I was fortunate enough to be somewhere where, I knew the people, the young lady I was helping, let me stay with her and her mother. And I was also, because, it got progressively worse, and that's why I missed it. And, I tried, I thought it may have been a UTI or something, and I went to the walk-in clinic August 1st, and they gave me some antibiotics, and they thought it might be a UTI as well. They didn't do any lab work. I went to Walmart to get some groceries and to get some cranberry juice and cranberry juice pills, hoping that would help, because I was told that would help by the doctor. And it just got worse and worse with the antibiotics and what I was doing to try to make it better. And by the 5th, I just couldn't take it anymore. I went to the emergency room, and I was in really no condition to be reporting to anyone, in person.
And so why didn't you call Mariah afterward or tell her that you were sick?
I did try to relay the message to Mariah without calling her. When it got to the point where I was feeling well enough, I tried relaying a message to Jeremy Cotnor, who was supposed to be calling her on my behalf. Obviously, that's not good enough. I should have called her directly, but in the past, Mariah hasn't been real receptive. She seems kind of cynical in her, and I felt that she was going to ask me to come in, and that would be more. If I didn't come in, it would be another reason to violate me. And she, as you say, as you stated before, she thinks that I belong in jail when you guys paroled me, and I really don't feel like I do. But I didn't call her in fear of her asking me to come in, and I would either have to just not do it or come in to get thrown in jail in the kind of condition I was in. And I know that's a terrible excuse, but that's the truth.
Did you have another medical issue going on at the same time?
It was a self-induced medical issue. I called after I completed IDRP to get my license reinstated. And I'd like to make that clear. I do have my CDL permit. I called Mike Palmer, who was the other owner of Eustis Cable, and asked him about employment, because that was always the plan. They paid for my IDRP class. They paid for my truck to be repaired, and from the garage, they had it towed there, repaired, and paid for it, so that I would have reliable transportation for work. But just out of unlucky timing, when I called them, they weren't busy enough to bring me on. So that being the case, I decided to detox off from methadone and get on Suboxone, because you cannot carry a CDL on methadone, but you can on Suboxone. So I wanted to change my treatment plan to Suboxone. It's a very hard thing to do. On top of the bacterial infection, I was in very rough shape, and that's why I didn't go home, because my kids don't really understand. I have 3 boys that are very, very rambunctious kids. They don't really understand that I'm sick, and they can't. It would be very hard to deal with my children in the condition I was in. But I detoxed off from methadone and got on Suboxone to be able to obtain my CDL, to be a more valuable employee to Eustis, to where they wouldn't be able to employ me in underground season. They would be able to employ me in the winter as well.
Okay. And can you just tell the board the circumstances of your arrest? Like, how was it that you came back into custody? What were you doing, and what were the circumstances?
Well, it's kind of something. My sister was dating a man that was there was a pretty big manhunt in the Newport area for. He was wanted for attempted murder and running a state police trooper off the road or something. He wanted for a bunch of things, and since he had been in my sister's life, her life had just gone downhill with substance abuse and totaled her truck. She got shot at a Walmart parking lot. He was just a violent guy. I didn't want around my sister, and he had been to my mother's house a few times, and I didn't want him around my children with the people that were looking for him. So when I saw him, I called the police to let them know he was there, and I waited for them to get there to be able to confirm it.
And who was it that you called within law enforcement?
Trooper Handy.
Okay. Okay. And you mentioned Jeremy Cottonworm.
Jeremy Cottonworm, yeah, he was the one that asked me, weeks earlier to be able to try to get them to, try to get me to essentially locate him for them. But I actually told him that I didn't know if it was okay with the conditions of my parole to do that. I mean, it's not being a CI by any means, but he told me that he was working, trying to get a hold of Mariah. Jen Harlow also said the same thing, that she was trying to get a hold of Mariah. He actually called me on the 13th when I was actually starting to feel a little better, and told me that he was calling Mariah the following Thursday. He didn't know why she was being so difficult not answering, but I asked him to reiterate to her for me that I would call her on Monday, that I've been ill, and that I would be able to bring the paperwork stating that when I saw her. And it was the Saturday before that I had run into this person and called the cops. And I wasn't aware that I had a warrant, but I thought that there was a chance of it. But I thought that it was more important that he be away from my family.
Okay. And do you want to also talk to the board about, there's been a lot of testimony about after you got ill, kind of things went downhill, end of July, but prior to that, what was happening with you at your mom's house?
I mean, I made a short list of the positive things that I did in the short time that I was there before I got sick. Let's see, I took my IDRP class. I mean, I got off the methadone to get my CDL. My children, I had split. My mother and I had bought a pool for my children. The problem was she couldn't set it up correctly, and my older brother couldn't either. So when I got out, I did a bunch of work on her property. I dug in the pool. I leveled out a spot with the pool, digging out by hand. It actually took quite a while, took many days. My mother has been trying to get her front lawn built for a long time, for about 1.5 acres, and she rented a machine, and I built her front lawn and rerouted her driveway. I bought my kids tablets and school clothing, and I brought my oldest son a new cell phone. I gave my mother $750 for rent for the 2 months that I'd been there. I bought her a lawnmower, and I spent every day with my boys until I left to help my friend move. I spent every day with my boys all day, and that's I mean. I kind of heard testimony saying that I say I want to be out with my kids, and that's just fact. I do want to be out with my kids. This was unfortunate what happened, and I probably should have handled it differently. And had I thought that any response from PMP would have been understood or understood by my PO. I mean, she just I feel like I'm gonna get thrown in jail anything I do, and it's just how I feel when I speak to Miss Alvey. I don't feel I've developed any sort of rapport with her. I don't feel like she thinks I should be out of jail to begin with. I don't know why. My charges are all non-violent, misdemeanor charges. There is some discrepancy with my max date that I filed a PCR on. As far as I know, the deal that I agreed to sign, I should have been maxed out in April, but for some reason, on a technicality or something wasn't written right in the minimus, I am still here, and I'm going through the process to get that fixed. But I'm trying to do things right. I mean, the pattern of behavior of the DLSs I've gotten in the past, well, I took the steps to get my license back. All that's left is a reinstatement fee. I have to pay a reinstatement fee, and I have the money for it. And the unlawful trespass to Walmart, I had no idea was still in effect. I asked actually how I get that withdrawn, and I have to talk to management at Walmart. And if I'm paroled, that's the first thing I'll do. I'll call them and get that taken care of so that this won't be an issue anymore. I mean.
Okay, thank you.
I'll just say one last thing. I did confirm with Jen Harlow, the sheriff in Orleans County, that Matt was working with Deputy Cottonwar. And Jen also said that she called Mariah several times just to tell her how helpful Matt was being, and Mariah wouldn't return her phone calls. And so what we're asking the board to do is continue Matt on parole, release to his mother's house under any conditions the board deems appropriate. If they wanted a period of GPS, that would be fine. Any conditions the board wants to put on him, he's fine with. And okay. Yeah. I mean, if he's revoked at this point, probably he's looking at a 2-year interrupt. And so we're just asking the board. I mean, he definitely wasn't reporting as required. He's going to take care of that. He's gotten the message, and we would ask that he be released to live at his mother's house, nowhere else, and again, under any conditions the board deems appropriate.
And
anything else?
The department would just reiterate that they're seeking revocation. This is an individual who just stops responding to supervision when he fears the consequences. And there's nothing that indicates that he won't do that again. He got a huge break when he was paroled prior to the completion of his 1-year interrupt. And 2 months later, he's absconding from supervision again, not reporting. He very clearly stated he wasn't going to report because he was afraid she was going to put him in jail. There was nothing from his testimony that indicated that he was unable due to this sickness to call Mariah. He just chose not to do that because he was afraid of consequences, but there's no guarantee that he's going to comply with supervision going forward. He's demonstrated that he has not gained the parole board's trust to be given another break. And frankly, putting him back on parole at this point, given all of these violations where he's picking up new charges when he's allegedly sick, and it's just it strains credibility, the testimony that we heard from him today. So we're asking, the department's asking that he be revoked. He's not a good candidate for supervision at this time. I don't think that the length of his interrupt should be any concern of the board. That's going to be something that gets determined by the department. The board has shown that it will grant parole notwithstanding an interrupt previously, and that could happen again in this case. But this is an individual that's not supervisable. He's trying to place all the blame on others. He's placing the blame on Mariah, not taking responsibility for his own actions. And we would suggest that also that the mother's residence is not an appropriate residence given the factors that were talked about today. So we're asking that he be revoked.
Thank you. There's nothing further then? What is the pleasure of the board, please?
I would just point out just one more point, which is that Ms. Alvin testified that she didn't think Mr. Puru should have been paroled in the first place. And so his testimony that their relationship was hostile from the inception certainly is credible, given the fact that she obviously disagreed with the board from the beginning.
I'll make a motion for deliberative session.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded for a deliberative session. All in favor signify by saying
Aye.
aye. We shall return shortly.
The board is on their way back. Did Wayne come back? Yep, okay. We are back on the record for Matthew Puru.
Okay, thank you. So Matthew, it is a majority decision of the board that we are going to continue you on parole with a reprimand and a 30-day carcerative sanction, which will begin today. Additionally, we're going to add special condition 16, which says that your residence must be approved. The board is very troubled by the actions that took place over this last period of time. It is really, can you not hear me, Don?
No, I could hear you. I was just turning on our mic, sorry.
Okay. So lack of communication with the Department of Corrections on your part, Matthew, is your responsibility and no one else's. And you can't use any excuse, whether it's perceived or real, not to communicate. That is your responsibility and that can't happen again.
You're right. And I knew that.
Okay.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. So again, it's a 30-day incarcerative sanction, which begins today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. All right. Moving on to Isaac Jacobs.
Colby.
Yes.
So Mr. Is it Jacobson?
I've got Isaac Jacobs.
Yeah, okay. So I believe Stephanie is going to log on. There she is. All right.
So he's
Bye,
in.
everyone. Thank you. I'm leaving.
Bye, Don. Have a good day.
You too.
So we have to hook him up and get him going. So he should be here in less than like 2 minutes.
Thank
I had
you.
them all buckled up, but I didn't expect the other hearing to go so long. So
No, we didn't either.
Thank you, Stephanie.
no problem.
Reading. I'm gonna see if I can get Amber on, because I'm not seeing her and she's usually at, oh, there she is. Never mind. She's on. She's hiding in my list. Hi, Amber. Sorry
Good
about that.
morning. Well, it's
You're hiding
afternoon
in my,
almost, I guess.
you're hiding in my people's list. I was like, she's usually on for these. I need to make sure I reach out to
I'm here.
her.
Thank you.
No problem.
The ones that we already have are in the
So for Mr. Puru's paperwork, Dean, I filled out everything but the finding for you.
Okay.
Looks like my ghost is back. We have a running joke in the office because I constantly glitch on this side of me, and you can see like my dryer, dryer right here. There's nobody behind me. It's just my dryer. It's not on or anything, but it makes this whole part of my screen glitch out. And so the joke is that I have a ghost.
Oh, well, that's nice.
You know me. I'm about spooky things. I'm good with it.
Someone to talk to.
Yeah, pretty much. It gets quiet and lonely here.
Yeah, let me see. Small screen. You want to move closer? And I'm going to move the table closer.
No, it's falling right.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Isaac's in the room.
Okay. Good morning, Mr. Jacobs.
Good morning.
We'll begin your hearing in just a moment.
Okay.
Sam and Wayne, are you still with us?
Yeah.
I'm here.
All right. Dean, are you ready?
Yep, all set.
Good morning. Today's date is September 24th, 2024, and we are doing a Northern State Correctional Facility hearing via Microsoft Teams. This is a parole hearing for Isaiah Jacobs. Present today are parole board members Dean George, Wayne Dangler, and Samantha Drake, the offender Isaiah Jacobs, caseworker Stephanie Molly, PO Amber Charbonneau, and Colby Lino for the parole board office. I'll now turn this hearing over to the chair.
Thank you. Good morning, Isaac. Can you hear me okay?
Good morning. Yeah, I can.
Have you reviewed the report? Apparently you have it in hand, so.
Yeah, some of it, most of it.
Okay. We're going to begin by getting an update on what's going on with your case and what corrections is planning for you. We'll have a couple of questions after that and then make a decision for today at the end of the hearing.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Stephanie, good morning.
Hi, Dean. So as of right now, the department is not able to give Mr. Isaac a positive recommendation. He was case staffed a 4-year interrupt, and that ends on the 19th of September of next year. And his max date is 8/17/2025. So essentially, he was case staffed to max out his sentence. So at this time, we're not given a positive recommendation. He has been in contact and trying to with Teen Challenge. However, I don't think that's something that DOC would support. However, he's still putting in the legwork and talking to them. It's a rehab recovery place.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been doing most of the legwork himself, but we just are not able to.
Okay. Thank you. And Amber, anything to add to that?
No, I don't have anything to add to that. As Stephanie said, that we are not planning for release at this time due to his interrupt.
Thank you. So Isaac, is there anything that you wanted to talk to the board about?
Yeah, the only thing that I was trying to point out that I had I thought I had a positive recommendation for Teen Challenge. I guess I don't. I guess Teen Challenge hasn't gotten back to these guys, so I don't know.
So what is your familiarity with Teen Challenge? Have you spoken?
I contacted them through family and friends, and I got a couple people to do a sponsorship for me. I spoke with someone named Caleb once or twice, and I worked with my caseworker a couple of times to speak with someone named Caleb. As far as he was concerned, I guess, I mean, last I knew he was willing to take me, but he didn't want to commit to anything without knowing what the parole board was going to do. But he said he would make a bed for me or make room for him. That was the last time I checked in with him. So.
Okay, thank you. Other questions from the board, Wayne?
Can I just speak real quick? So
Yeah,
DOC
sure, go
does
ahead.
not support Teen Challenge due to previous history with them. And so I confirmed that this was a couple of years ago, but we have not received any new information that we would be supporting Teen Challenge at this time.
That's not what I heard. That's not what I thought.
We had been aware of that from previous interest in that program. Questions from the board, Wayne?
I have none.
Samantha?
I have none.
What is the pleasure of the board for Mr. Jacobs?
I'll make a motion that we not grant parole to Isaac Jacobs today.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded, not granting parole at this time to Mr. Jacobs. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, it is unanimous. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Right?
Thank you, Mr. Jacobs. Next, I believe, is Albert Hennessy.
I think, give me 1 second. So Mr. Hennessy refused to come see the board. Dan did have him sign a
Waiver?
Right.
Okay.
And he'll send it over in a little bit.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you so much. Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you.
Too. All right, and our last hearing of the day is Harley McDonald.
I have not heard anything from Mr. McDonald. So unfortunately, I don't know what you will choose to do. I don't know if you want to, if I should request a warrant. This rescission stuff is new for me.
So this was, he was a parole to a detainer, correct?
Correct.
And was to report back to you. He has not reported?
So he did. So he got released from New Hampshire and he showed up on my doorstep unexpectedly. I told him, I gave him the notice to appear for today. I didn't know what time the board was going to be held, but I did give the notice to appear for 9 o'clock. I have not heard from him since then. I have no way of getting in touch with him. I do have a reported address. I suppose I could try to go look for him at, but the person that he said he was going to work for, he has also no way of getting in touch with him. So I don't know where he is.
When did you give him the notice?
I gave him the notice when he showed up. Well, it's actually attached in attachments. He showed up on Tuesday last week. Stand by.
I'm double checking too.
Yeah, the 17th he came in.
So it's up to you, Amber. I mean, I think it would be good to try to reach the residents and find out if in fact he is there and whatever he's planning to do. If not, there's no contact with him, then absolutely let us know and we'll issue a warrant, because it's his responsibility to turn himself into you, which I'm glad to hear he did that, but then he needs to follow up as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. If you are able to get a hold of him, Amber, I know you want to get this done sooner rather than later, just because he's on no real conditions out there in the community. Would the board be opposed to putting him on Wednesday's schedule?
No, not at all. Sooner the
So
better.
that way we
Yeah.
could get that done. Are you available on the 2nd, Amber? I'm just thinking ahead if she's
Yes.
able to get a hold of him.
Yeah.
We want to put him on something as soon as possible. Okay.
Yes, I can do that. Quick question. Was there a different form other than the notice to appear for a violation hearing to do a rescission hearing?
No, the rescission
Okay.
hearing isn't a due process hearing. It's.
Okay, just didn't know if there was a different form for the
Right.
notice to appear.
Right.
Nope.
Okay. Perfect. I
All
will
right.
attempt to get in touch with him.
Yes,
Okay.
please let us know. And as soon as, if you do get a hold of him, we'll put him on the 2nd schedule.
All right, sounds good. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Amber.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too.
Well-
All right. And if there is nothing further, that concludes today's hearings.
Amen.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. See you Thursday.
Sounds good.
Yeah, Thursday. See y'all later.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay, Colby. I got findings for Mr. Cruz.